swoops on the crowd, a massive basket.
3. You are kidding me.
And the fire burns brightest. Townsville are WNBL champions for the 4th time.
Welcome to the inaugural Pride Game, brought to you by the Melbourne Boomers with the support of Pride Cup. Not only will the LGBTQIA plus community get recognised today, but also legends like Michelle Tibbs, Debbie Slimman, and of course Lauren Jackson, who notches up her 200th WNBL game today. On the court, the Boomers will be looking to sweep the Flyers in the Michelle Tibbs Cup for the 2nd time in 3 years, while Southside will be hoping to go back-to-back in round 12 to keep in touch with that top 2. Julia Montesano and NBL One Championship coach Mark Ellenbackov here to take you through a really special game today. Mark, what an occasion at the sold-out Boombox.
It's going to be an exciting one. You've got 2 championship contenders full of belief off the back of clinical wins last round, and it's the stuff that real confidence is made of. You've got Southside, who did a demolition job on the Spirit and reminded teams of what they're capable of when they're firing on all cylinders. A real statement win by them. And the Melbourne Boomers, who had their own statement win, the 2nd double-digit win that they've had over the ladder-leading Townsville Fire. We're in store for some high-level hoops today.
We certainly are, and it's that thanks to that woman on screen mainly. It's her 200th WNBL game today, a 4-time league MVP, a 5-time champion, and a 6-time All-Star 5 member. Plus, she's led the team scoring in 2 of their past 3 games. She's still got it to go. She's recovered for a bit of a knock against Bendigo on Wednesday. She's ready to notch up yet another record today, Mark. Incredible.
Right, and the history that she's put into the game is obviously storied, but if we talk about the here and now, the past 3 games, as you mentioned, she's been able to get on the free throw line double-digit amount of times. She's had that 28-point game that notched her Player of the Week honours, but her ability to be a post target and the way that Southside are using her in that position to complement her pick and pop 3-point shooting, I think it's a really good fit for them, and it's showing the breadth of what she can still do in the game.
So on paper, it's the Boomers who are up 2. The Hillman, Conti, Froling and Blitzars, but the news of the week, Mark, has been Megan McKay has signed as an injury replacement player for Penina Davidson. We hope he's recovering well from that calf injury, but Mark, you've worked very closely with Meg. How deserved is this opportunity for her?
It's massively deserved, and on the back of winning the NBL One South MVP and National MVP, I mean, she's an exceptional talent. She's got elite level footwork, she's got great hands, she's the hardest working post player that I've come across in the WNBL or in any league. And I implore you to watch her off the ball. Her work rate is phenomenal, especially on the offensive end. But I think she really fits their style too, with the post play that they mix up their pick and roll play with.
Taking a look at Southside's starting 5, it's Cole, Mitchell, Rochi, Jackson and Russell. And I think Russell will be the one we'll be keeping an eye on today. Mark, 6 double-doubles for the season. Can she get a 7th today, perhaps?
I think that she can, and she's got to be a focal point for them. The last time that these 2 teams played, she had 17 points and 12 rebounds, and her direct matchup at that point in time, the very talented Nars Hillman, who's a little bit undersized for the position, she held her to 6 points. Nars Hillman still getting the 11 rebounds, but was able to hold her at less than her average level of performance.
So what will it be? Can Melbourne clean sweep Southside for the 2nd time in 3 years, or can Southside bite back, get the win for Lauren Jackson, and capitalise on last night's upsets to keep in touch with the top two. It's all to play for at the sold-out Boombox. We're celebrating Pride today, and we're proud to be sharing this moment with you on 9 Now as we tip off at Parkville. And it's going to be Lauren Jackson to kick things off for Southside, getting it into Cole. Mitchell getting free and does so. Here is Jackson up against Froling. It just rims out. Cole's there to rebound, and there's the start that Southside wanted.
And that's huge. If you've got Beck Cole able to go to the offensive glass like that, she's got quite the leap. So being able to outreach the shorter Monique Conti on that occasion.
Here is Conti now looking for some revenge on the offensive end. Kicks it out to Blitzars instead. Fresh off an Opal's call-up for that Olympic qualifying tournament in Brazil. Here's Canada now. Getting to work on Rochi. And it's good defense there in the end by the Flyers.
Probably not the possession that the Boomers were intending, to have the ball in Jordan Canada's hands for the bulk of that last 15 seconds.
Cole. Mitchell. Rochi. They go inboard now to Jackson. Posts up on Froling, and that one just falls short as well. Russell, 2 offensive rebounds in a row now for Southside. Rochi with Conti. And Conti's able to pull down the rebound and see if she can get her Boomers on the board in this Pride Cup game, inaugural Pride game at the Boombox. Blitzars gets a good pass from Hillman and makes no mistake.
Did a great job of sealing, in her case, the shorter Beck Cole. So was able to hold her in front of her and being able to have the ball lobbed over the top. She can release that contact to get it.
Speaking of releasing, Mitchell releases one from the corner.
Tremendous shooter, and into the starting lineup for Nadia Poch.
And Hillman responds on the opposite end. It's fast tempo basketball to start things off here. Let's see what Rochi can do with ball in hand now. Gets it to Russell. And now Cole. Oh, beautiful pass into Rochi, but Canada read it better. Hands it off to Conti. And now Froling to Blitzars. Southside get back in numbers. Hillman finds a lane and gets to go to the charity stripe for a couple.
And that's what you've got to do. If you're the Melbourne Boomers, push the ball in transition. It's been an Achilles heel for the Southside Flyers in each of the games that they've played. So here where they come up with the ball, Maddie Rochi's on the ground. You've got 5-on-4 if you can continue to accelerate down the floor. You keep that numbers advantage as well as a reaction time advantage if you're playing quick.
So Naz Hillman, one of the informed players of the competition. As I say that, she's missed a free throw. But anyhow, she's had 6 double-doubles, 3 in the past 5 games. And, of course, we know what she's capable of. 5th in the league for rebounding as well.
And she's mobile too, so dealing with the size mismatch against Mercedes Russell, if it's in a stationary situation, Russell's always going to be taller and longer, but if you can get her on the move, like Naz Hillman did in that last play, you can get on the free throw line.
Good hands there by Canada to knock it out of bounds, and the Boombox really is booming. A fantastic atmosphere. The inaugural Pride game. Good to see everyone out and about in their colours. Good to see the players with some nice Scrunchy Code Pride themed scrunchies as Mitchell lays one in. It should go to the line for another as well.
She's got a deceptively quick release for essentially the shortest player on the floor. She's crafty, she wears body contact, and she knows where she is in space. She's got great, for sports science nerds, it's called proprioception. She knows where she is in space, and she's able to navigate getting the ball up on the glass.
And she's got off to a hot start here at the Boombox. As you said, in for Nadia Poch in that starting 5 and making her minutes count. Here's Canada. Team down by 3. Conti. Looking to get it into Hillman. It just fell out of the hands. Cole's there to dive in and pick it up.
How's a hustle by Beck Cole?
She needs every bit of those knee pads, does Beck Cole. Of course, recently notched up her 250th WNBL game. A huge congratulations to her, one of the stalwarts of the league in her 14th season.
And another athlete I've been lucky enough to work with, both as an assistant and as a head coach, but her competitiveness, I mean, to her, it wouldn't matter that it's the first 3 minutes of the first quarter. She's playing like it's the last possession of a championship game.
Here she is now being harassed by Canada. And now Rochi into Cole. Shot clock down to 5. Let's see if she uses the mismatch. Gets it to Russell, and there it is, a bucket for Southside.
It's a mismatch in the post with Conti on LJ, and then that drew a lot of attention, left an opening for Mercedes Russell to cut into.
Froling into Conti. Gets it back to Froling. The ball just dribbles past her. Uncharacteristic there from Keeley.
I think she knew what she wanted to do. It was great little bounce pass into space. I think they're just slightly off target. That bounce pass and the scoop pass by Conti that was earlier in the quarter, just got to tighten up your accuracy.
Rochi was looking for Jackson, instead finds Mitchell back at the top. Up to 5 points already, Leilani Mitchell. Jackson from her signature spot. That one just rims out as well. So a few misses for LJ early doors, but no doubt she'll get on the board very soon. Conti gets fouled on the approach. So Ted plays 5, 6 minutes left in the first term.
Now that'll be the second foul, if I'm not mistaken, on Mercedes Russell, so she'll come out of the game. That could be pivotal, where 4 minutes into this first quarter, you got 2 fouls on Mercedes Russell, who, as I mentioned earlier, had the 17 points the last time that these teams played.
Do you think it's actually like a game plan to try, you know, get her fouled out, get her angry early on from Melbourne?
Yes and no. I think it's something that you flag, but you can't get bogged down as it being a tactic in itself. But anytime you have an opportunity to go at her, you probably would take that.
And Hillman goes to the bucket and gets another one to go. Ernst now, who replaced Russell out the floor. Rochi. Jackson back to Rochi, thinks about the 3, and then gets it to Mitchell, who's been loving it. And that one just falls short.
Love to see the Flyers just lower their eyes. Both Mitchell and Rochi missed a mismatch in the post. You had Jackson on Monique Conti 2 feet from the hoop again.
Mitchell now. Cole provided the screen. Now Jackson gets it back to Cole. Gets to work on Reed. Jackson gets Froling out of the way and gets her first points in her 200th game. That's a classic Lauren Jackson basket. Froling now. Again, can't contend with Lauren at the moment.
That's a challenge that you have when you play in these high-pressure games. So for Keely Froling, probably just got caught up in the emotion of the other end of the floor, where in her case, she would have thought it might have been an offensive foul on Jackson, but then that's affected her in this possession. She's come down trying to make a statement, trying to score on LJ at this end of the floor. You've just got to continue to make the plays that you see.
Here is Froling now. Another chance to go at Jackson, and Jackson wins out again, but I think it was called a foul. Indeed it was.
And that's a bit more organic, so that's a better read by Keely. So having a closeout situation, so the taller and perhaps slower Lauren Jackson coming out towards Keely to get that catch. Keely can catch it and accelerate to the basket faster than Lauren Jackson could back up.
Froling having a fantastic season, her first in Melbourne colours. 13 points per game. She's ranked 7th in the league for rebounds with 9. She's coming off 19 points, 6 rebounds and 3 steals against Townsville. And what a win that was for the Boomers last Saturday night.
I've mentioned before on the air that I think the most impressive thing for me with Keely Froling is her leadership ability that she's expressed in the back half of this season. I think she's come a long way.
Jackson now going to work on her and getting the bucket to go.
Don't be surprised if Coach Chris Lucas comes in with Megan McKay. The Southside Flyers have made a point to try to go to Lauren Jackson in the post in the past couple of games, but certainly at the start of this one within the first quarter. And she's having to deal with the likes of Keely Froling, who's traditionally a power forward. She's a 4, whereas Lauren Jackson is traditionally a 5, and obviously has that height and physicality advantage in that low block area.
And she makes the 3-point play. She's on another plane with the Opals next month, the Olympic qualifying tournament in Brazil. Amazing achievement for a woman who just keeps surprising us with her greatness. Well, I don't even know if surprising is the right word. Conti knocks down a good settler there for the Boomers.
and that's within her skill package. That pull-up jumper in and around the mid-range. She had 17 points the last time these teams met.
And Mitchell says, whatever you could do, I could do it as well. She's having a really good start to the game, Leilani Mitchell. Full of energy for the Flyers. They lead by 7. Reed, a nice step. But Jackson was at the bottom. He handed off to Mitchell. Rochi now. Steps inboard. Has Conti to deal with. Eventually wrestles it back to Cole. Up against the taller Reed. Gets the bounce pass away. And Jackson's there to finish.
And that's a great pass by Maddie Rochi. So whenever she goes to dribble penetration on her right hand, she's so dangerous when she goes to that side. It draws a lot of attention from the defense. Hillman goes across to stop it. Great pass by Rochi to identify the person that Hillman left, which was Lauren Jackson.
Conti into Canada. Canada yet to score this game. And that won't help. Gets it back somehow into Hillman. Those two have worked brilliantly together this season.
They have, and they've been two critical parts of this Melbourne Boomers lineup, and the amount of wins that they've been able to string together, especially at the start of the season. It was because of the play of those two.
Ernst into Mitchell, already on 7 points, Leilani Mitchell. Ernst got fouled and she was trying to receive that pass. Lauren Jackson also up to 7 points for the Flyers, and Hillman leading all scorers for Melbourne with 7 as well. We're going to have Meg McKay enter for her first WNBL game of the season, her first for the Melbourne Boomers. She was originally going to take a break from basketball this season, and then Penina Davidson injured her calf in the last game against Townsville, and she's got the chance to build on her credentials from the NBL 1 South season, where she absolutely dominated, and Dickey gets off to a good start for Southside.
And the Melbourne Boomers sent out the bat signal to Megan McKay, and she answered the call.
Amy Rochi also entering for her first minutes of the day. Here is McKay, immediately gets fouled.
I mentioned earlier about the work rate that McKay brings. So there she cuts straight to the basket, sets a screen to open up a teammate, and then she's back up at the top of the key ready for ball reversal.
Conti lets fly and knocks it down. First 3 of the game for the Boomers. No surprise to see Monique Conti letting it fly. Mitchell wants to respond. The rebound falls to Rochi. And she puts on the afterburners, gets it to Reed, sitting all by herself in the corner. Mitchell gets it back. Dickey running ahead, but not much else. So she just stops and props. And Lou Brown was pushed in the air. Good to see her getting some early minutes for the Flyers.
Yeah, interesting, because she's not played a lot. You wouldn't typically see her early in the game. So for her, maybe she's back to a bill of health. There's a whole lot more trust in her from Coach Cheryl Chambers, and they're rolling her out into games earlier now.
Of course, Russell in that foul trouble with the couple, and Melbourne putting all their tall players on the floor. So perhaps that's why we've seen Brown come in pretty early.
One thing she does well is rebound the basketball. She's a great possession player.
Averaging 2.4 rebounds per game this season in her limited minutes. Good read there by Poch.
While we're talking about the post players of the Southside Flyers, let's not discount Carly Ernst. She had 15 points, and I believe 2 rebounds, 2 assists against the Bendigo Spirit, and a lot of those were from post play as much as they were 3-point shooting, so showing the breadth of her talents as well.
Rochi, that one just falls out. Conti's there to mop it all up. The first 12 here for the Boomers. Rochi steps back on her sister-in-law and knocks that one down.
Bragging rights at the dinner table, perhaps?
That's for sure. Of course, Amy Rochi going up against Maddie Rochi today. Here's Rochi at the other end. Good rebound there by Brown, right on cue mark.
I'm going to say, great example. She just keeps possessions alive. If I'm not mistaken, she was in the top 2 to 3 offensive rebounders in the NBL 1 South competition, which is littered with WNBL talent. So for her to have such an exceptional output shows you the type of hustle that she can bring to a team.
Speaking of hustle, good shot there by Conti, who takes a seat. Good minutes so far. 5 points, 2 from 2 from the field, 2 rebounds and 2 assists.
And in a lot of ways was the reason for the result that they had the last 2 times that these teams played each other. She had 17 points in the last game and was the X factor that separated the two, very even for any other measure, championship caliber teams.
17 points is a career high for her as well, so she certainly likes matching up against her old team. Team she played 38 games with, 2 seasons, and won a championship, of course. So just under a minute left in this opening quarter. It's been very heavily offense-driven, 22 playing 17. A lot of players showing their skill, and Potch puts the spin move on.
That's a really tough finish too, to go from accelerating on your right hand to finding your balance and spinning back. Great finish by Potch.
Canada dumps it into Reed, and that's a great find. Southside go again. Potch, can she go for back-to-back baskets? Instead gives it to Rochi. Bounce passing it back to Ernst. Dickey, good offensive board, and knocks it in.
From a good offensive rebounder. So she's another possession player. Whenever they need some work ethic on the offensive glass, Coach Cheryl Chambers brings her into the lineup.
Rochi can't beat the buzzer. But a great opening term from the Southside Flyers. They take a lead at quarter time. It's Southside 26 playing Melbourne 19. We'll be back on the other side of this short break.
Use that momentum and power you've created to explode out on your first dribble. Okay, we've got 2 more. 1.
Sometimes as women, we look for perfection as opposed to execution.
The work ethic is important when the players are 40 years younger than you.
Cheers.
Welcome back to the Boombox, where it's Southside leading Melbourne by 7 points. In the break, Debbie Slimman, the Melbourne Boomers legend, was Melbourne's 40th anniversary honoree. She played 199 WNBL games, is the all-time Boomers leader for points, rebounds, field goals made, and free throws made, along with being a 1988 Olympian, a 2-time WNBL MVP, and a 4-time WNBL All-Star 5 member. There she is, receiving a basketball with a nice little plant in it. It was thanks to Most Valuable Planters, where you can recycle your basketball and give it a new home. And Debbie Slimman, she's very, very well deserving of that recognition today, Mark.
Yeah, and you talk to anybody from that era who either played or coached, and they all mention her name as one of the greats from that period of time. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, one of our own, Laurie Chiswick, was coach of Debbie Slimman at that point in time as well.
It's a great thing that the Melbourne Boomers are doing, honouring a different legend of their past at every home game this season at quarter time. In their 40th anniversary year. As we tip off the second quarter in the Melbourne Boomers' inaugural Pride game, done with the support of Pride Cup. At the moment, they're trailing 26-19. Can Canada change things? She can. Gets her first bucket for the game and the first bucket for the Boomers to start this second term.
That's the start they would have wanted to get something out in transition off the back of a stop. It's how they knocked off the Townsville Fire.
So Rochi finding it tough against Conti and getting it into Jackson, who does some work on Hillman. Dickey couldn't collect the rebound this time, but Southside will get it back once again.
It's a clear focus from the Flyers to try and get the ball inside. I thought Naz Hillman did a tremendous job of trying to push Lauren Jackson out as far as she could to get the catch outside of that key area or that block area.
Still no Mercedes Russell out on the floor for Southside. She's on those 2 fouls, which she accumulated in the first term. With 2 points and 2 rebounds for her so far, sitting on the bench. Mitchell spinning around Canada. And then getting it to Jackson, who steps back. And Conti secures the rebound. Gets Canada. And Hillman now. Getting to work on Jackson, and Naz Hillman keeps getting it done as an undersized player. Gets her team back within 3.
Well, what she does is she's quite agile, so you get that early post touch with her in transition. If she gets it and accelerates, she's a little more nimble than people who play against her or match up with her.
And it's beautiful handwork. Lays it in.
And not nearly spoken about enough for the level of fundamental skill as a basketballer that she has, Carly Ernst.
It was the right idea there by the Boomers, but Froling just couldn't finish it off. Mitchell into Jackson. Ernst just knocked it back out. Oh, beautiful work there by Rochi. Couldn't finish it off. And now Conti can get going up the other end for Melbourne. Into Hillman. Hillman gets it back from Canada. And Rochi's there to secure the rebound.
And they'll encourage Hillman to shoot that shot with Lauren Jackson stepping off her, but we loath to say I don't think that Jackson's going to go and defend her on the 3-point line, even if she hits one.
Here is Jackson now to Dickey. And now Rochi. Ernst, Dickey. Jackson rebound and gets fouled. Good work there by the Flyers. Went through a lot of sets of hands. And they'll hopefully get a result at the free throw line for their sake.
I love that you mentioned that too, because that's exactly what it's looked like to me. The Southside Flyers are doing a really good job of executing and moving the ball to get it to intended targets. That's given them some purpose on the offensive end, so the Boomers are forever scrambling and reacting, and they're one step behind the action, which puts the Flyers in positions to be fouled like that last play.
So timeout called on the floor. Flyers 28, Boomers 23. This timeout is brought to you by Cygnett, Australia's #1 digital accessories brand. Cygnett continues to power the WNBL, Australian owned and designed. Cygnett is available at JB Hi-Fi, Officeworks and other leading retailers. Visit cygnett.com. So first time out of the game, Mark, a bit of a chance for us to breathe. How have you seen it so far?
Well, I mean, it's the arm wrestle that we expected to see. If I was to be really layman and break down the differences for me, I think Southside, it's the execution side of things. There's a clear intent in what they're trying to achieve. For the Melbourne Boomers, a lot of their baskets have either come, there's been a couple out in transition, but they've come from broken plays where things haven't gone exactly to plan, but there's been what I would term the play after the play, where they've just been able to play basketball based on concepts. There might be a 2-on-1, they create a lane to throw the ball to somebody or try to score themselves. So that's hard to sustain a winnable scoreline when you're playing that way and it's a little bit disjointed. But if you're the Boomers, you sit 5 points down, and you haven't really hit your straps as far as execution goes. For the Flyers, everything's on track. You've been able to pump the ball inside. You've got Lauren Jackson in the game from a scoring standpoint. 2 fouls that you've incurred on Jordan Canada. 2 fouls you've incurred on Sarah Blitzarv's rather. Force of habit, my goodness. And the one on Keely Froling.
Jackson at the free throw line is able to make the first one, her 8th point of the game.
And every time I do that, I say cheerio to Steph Blitzarves, who's watching.
Of course. So both free throws made there for Lauren Jackson.
Tell me you've been a long-term WNBL fan, right?
Carly Ernst takes a seat. And Mercedes Russell comes back onto the floor for Southside. She's got the 2 fouls to her name as well. Got those 2 early in the first quarter. Froling steps back. Can't knock it down. Mitchell into Cole. They want to move it quickly here, Southside. Cole just has to wait for some cavalry to arrive. Gets Jackson. Now Rochi. It's been a good matchup between her and Conti fouls her.
Yeah, unlucky there. I thought she did a really good job of containing, just probably brought her arms down and contacted Maddie Rochi. I mentioned how dangerous she can be when she's got that space to explode with her first step, going to her right hand. She's as quick as anybody in the competition. I think arguably in the entirety of the league, Mon Conti does as good a job as anybody at guarding her. So this will be a one-on-one battle if we zoom in compared to the arm wrestle that we'll see between these two great teams at the same time.
Interestingly, Rochi missed both those free throws. She's an 81% shooter from that range, so pretty uncharacteristic for her. Hillman, though, that's very characteristic. She puts another 2 points to her name. Has really come into her own in this second half of the season. Stepped up when Canada was out with that concussion. And it's just kept the momentum flowing, especially with two players out. Davidson out with that calf injury, and we know Christy Wallace, of course, hasn't been playing all season either.
Well, there's a pick and roll. So you've got Jordan Canada, who's so dangerous off the dribble, draws the interest of Lauren Jackson, and that's what opened up the roll to the basket for Naz Hillman.
Again, Southside passing it around. Rochi goes for a deep three. And Conti is able to pick it up. Shot here from Blitzers, and that's good.
And tough, though. Like, with the quickness that you play with in transition, that lends itself to you having the opportunity to get on the rim. So that pull-up jump shot is really hard to do.
And it brings Melbourne back within 3. Southside 30, Melbourne 27. Jackson with ball in hand. Cole, Russell, back to Cole. Hillman, good defense, but Cole put up the shot. Froling able to take it for Melbourne. Canada now. Hillman finds herself free, and she gets the three-point play.
Outstanding pass by Jordan Canada. That little bounce pass off the end of her dribble throws it to the advantage of Naz Hillman. And you've seen on 2 consecutive possessions, we've had Boomers baskets come off the back of a defensive stop, which gives them that opportunity to run that was so fruitful against the Townsville Fire last week.
Naz Hillman and Jordan Canada combining, and it's forced a timeout on the floor. Southside 30, Boomers 29. This timeout is brought to you by CTM Sport. CTM Sport is here to transform your team's travel experience. Leave the hassle of off-court arrangements to CTM Sport, the experts in sports travel management. Get the winning edge at ctmsport.com.au. So that Canada-Hillman combination is causing a lot of trouble for the Flyers at the moment. They're still in the lead, but Hillman can level the scores here at the free throw line. She's got 13 points for the game, Mark.
It's pretty fun, right? You've got the 13 points that she's put on the board, 5 assists for Jordan Canada now. You've got 3 assists to Monique Conti at the same time. So the creativity of these point guards in being able to get everybody involved. It'd be so much fun to play with people that pass the basketball like that. But most notably, I mentioned the defense has gone up a level for the Boomers. They've got 4 fast break points out of their 8 points so far for this second quarter. It's half their score. They've been able to play closer to the identity that was able to get them a big win last week.
It's a good settling timeout from Southside here. They've got the lead at the moment. You feel that they can definitely continue to compete with the Boomers. They're still in the lead. Lauren Jackson putting on a show always helps. 9 points, 3 rebounds. Maddie Rochi leading their assists with 3. So good signs from both teams. We've seen good sharing around on the ball. It leaves Naz Hillman at the charity stripe for 1 extra. And she knocks it down, her 14th point of the game. And we're level at 30 apiece in the inaugural Pride game at the Boombox, the sold-out Boombox, over 3,000 fans in the house to witness a fantastic third leg of the Michelle Timms Cup. We know Melbourne have wrapped it up. They're leading 2-0, but Southside, pardon the pun, playing for pride.
And it's about so much more in the context of the season too for the Boomers, especially with the loss that the Fire had last night, as we see a great back cut by Bet Cole. With the loss that the Fire had, the Boomers have a real opportunity to start to accumulate some wins and hopefully close that gap with the Townsville Fire, because they have the season split in that instance as well if they can win enough games to tie them.
And an opportunity for Southside with Perth going down to Bendigo last night as well. They can really cement their spot in the top 4 as Ernst picks up her own rebound and still can't knock down the shot. Canada now looking to level the scores once again. Hillman thought about the lead, instead gave it to Conti. Back to Hillman. Froling in the corner. That one just falls out. Rochi gets moving. Cole loves this range. It was good D in the end by Conti. Just with the hand in her face, enough to put her off. Blitzarv, strong take. Can't get the finish to go with it.
A lot of physicality under the hoop. I like when referees let players play like this.
And again, another player hits the deck. Rochi can't take full advantage, but Russell still can't. Gets the offensive rebound, and eventually the shot falls. So pivotal having Mercedes Russell back out there for Southside.
At 6'5", she's got such a great reach as well. So here, off that missed shot, she's just able to outpoint the equally ferocious rebounder in Keely Froling just on the side. She was able to get a whole hand above Keely's when they were both pursuing the basketball.
Mercedes Russell, a 2-time WNBA champion. She won the Best Defensive Player Award in this league back when she was here with Southside in the 2019/20 season. See Monique Conti take a seat for the Boomers. And Tadar Reid will come on in her place. It's a bit of a taller lineup out there right now for Melbourne. They're down by 4. Hillman getting to work on Ernst. And Russell's there to collect the rebound. Gets it to Bet Cole. The 2 points for her so far, along with 2 assists. Canada picked that one off.
Read that one like a book, but I mean, credit the Southside Flyers and the defensive pressure that they're able to put on. So I credited the Boomers for being able to get stops and run the ball in transition. I think Southside has gone back to forcing the Boomers into broken plays. They look disjointed and just out of sync at the moment.
Cole, great shot. Vintage Bet Cole at the boombox. And Southside now on a 6-0 run out of that timeout. Canada, there you go, that's better from Melbourne.
So the hesitation that you have when you guard Jordan Canada to try and guard her one-on-one closely and pressure her lends itself towards you giving her a gap. And anytime you go underneath picks, she's got the capacity to shoot that 3-point shot like she did.
Jasmine Dickey now. Knocks that one down. Her first, or her 6th point of the game. Southside doing a great job here, but can Melbourne get back-to-back threes? Froling gets it back to Reid for another shot at it. Canada thought about it. At that same spot that she knocked down a 3 just moments ago. Finds Hillman. Those two again working in tandem and putting on a show.
When you watch Jordan Canada make passes out of the pick and roll, it's never at the same tempo as the dribbles that she takes. So see that pass, she elevates, it's almost on a half beat. She goes quicker than any of the other actions that she makes, elevates quickly and just snaps that pass through to where only Naz Hillman can catch it, gather her footing and be able to go up with her feet underneath her shoulders.
So a few subs on the floor. Rochi back on for Melbourne and Jackson's come back on for Southside. Carly Ernst takes a seat with 2 points. Sarah Blitzarves takes a seat with 4. Bet Cole now into Russell. Now Leilani Mitchell. It ended up working out. I don't know if it was a shot or a pass, but that one just fell out from Dickey.
You've always got to be aware of Jasmine Dickey when you're guarding her. So whenever the ball's in disrepute or it's in the air, she's always pursuing it. So if you're guarding her, your job always needs to be to go and try and impact her pursuit before you go and get the basketball.
Good release from Froling. It just fell short. She's able to keep it in, but only as far as Jasmine Dickey, the woman you're talking about, Mark.
Case in point, she pounces on the ball. She reacts really quick.
Got it to Cole this time. Getting to work on Reed. Now Jackson. Reed just put the hands in. Affected Jackson's shot. Reed had caught it a bit too mine. She had the hands up at the start and then went in to grab the ball. It was to her detriment as it sends Lauren Jackson to the charity stripe for 2 shots.
She caught a bit of arm in that particular instance, but I like the idea whenever you're guarding these taller players that are athletic enough to get to the basket, just by the pure virtue of their height, they dribble the basketball higher, so it spends more time in the air and it gives you an opportunity as a smaller player to get your hand in there and try and poke it loose or strip the ball as it's coming up into their hands to gather for a shot.
Double-digit points for Lauren Jackson in WNBL game 200. Dickey again involved in the action, this time forces a jump ball with Canada. 2 Warriors going at it.
And not wanting to give an inch.
Some great colours courtside there as well for the inaugural Pride game. And a timeout called on the floor. Southside 40 playing Melbourne Boomers 35, I should say. And this timeout is brought to you by Ford Aussie Hoops. Ford Aussie Hoops, the perfect introduction to the world of basketball for kids aged 5 to 10 years. Visit aussiehoops.basketball to register.
Now, I think Coach Chris Lucas has taken that timeout, I believe, with 1:21 to go, not to stop any momentum or change anything specifically. I think this, to me, looks like an opportunity timeout where you have possession of the ball and you get to orchestrate a shot type for somebody, or to your point earlier, Julia, about do you go and target people who are in foul trouble? A set piece like this gives you an opportunity to do something like that where it's one possession, it's a little more organic, it's not going to throw your team out for or bog them down in thinking about trying to draw a foul on somebody for minutes on end, but you get one little crack at it here with 1:21 to go because your timeouts don't carry through to the second half, right?
Exactly right. He's done the right thing there. Both teams coming back out onto the floor. It's the Flyers with a 5-point lead. They led by as much as 9 points. The Boomers haven't led all game. Perhaps an opportunity in this last 1:21. Ball at the sideline in the hands of Amy Rochi, the capable hands of Amy Rochi, I should mention as well. Into Canada. Spinning around, looking for a buddy, Naz Hillman. Instead goes herself and knocks it down. The bank is open on a Sunday.
You beat me to it. That's my line.
Sorry, my friend. It was right there for the takers.
I love it.
So 2-point margin now, and the crowd starts to get behind their team. Jackson puts on the moves and gets the 3-point play. Vintage Lauren Jackson in game 200.
And she's so hard to stop because she's shifty with her body weight and she throws her shoulders to make you think she's going to turn in one direction, as we see the bank is open call from earlier. But here, she baits you into stepping across to try and meet her. This is Lauren Jackson. And then she's got a beautiful drop step and she traps your foot between her feet, so there's no way that you can get around without any contact, and the contact inevitably puts her on the free throw line.
And the Boomers also over the limit for this last 52 seconds, so let's see what happens here. Meg McKay back onto the floor as well. Can she get her first points as a Boomer? Instead hands it to Reed, who goes to work, and she'll go to the line for a couple as well.
That's a great response. Now, the interesting thing with Tara Reid, we've typically known her to be a 3-point shooter, but in this particular game, she's gone to the basket off the dribble, as we see in that possession, but there's been 2 other instances where off the ball, she's made what we call a 45 cut. So from that wing through to the keyway, she'll cut to the basket and get on the end of a catch where she might have an opportunity to make a layup. And this is different to what we're used to seeing. So maybe an anticipation of how tightly perhaps the Flyers will play her on the 3-point line, leaving some advantage at the rim, whether it's with the dribble or without it for Tara Reid.
Bet Cole taking a seat for this last 43 seconds perhaps of the Flyers. Still up by 3. Lou Brown onto the floor, to Dickey, to Jackson. As easy as you like. Well, she makes it look easy.
Does a great job of sealing, and Meg McKay went over the top of that screen in that instance, just didn't get across in front of LJ quick enough.
Hillman now. 3-second difference between shot clock and game clock. Boomers down by 5. Can Canada cut the lead? Dumps it into Hillman on the three-point line. Naz Hillman can't knock it down. Jackson secures the rebound. She's happy to hold it in. And at halftime, it is Southside 45 leading Melbourne 40 off the back of a great first half from the away team. Lauren Jackson's turned back the clock in her 200th game. Boomers have fought, but you have to give all credit to the Flyers, Mark. They've been brilliant.
They have, and they've had a real intent offensively to try to get the ball inside, which is a little different to
No surprise to see her leading assists with 6, Rochi with 4 for the Flyers. But do not go anywhere. We've got a very exciting second half coming up in the inaugural Pride game. It is Southside 45 leading the Boomers 40.
Women are powering forward and changing the game on and off the court. Together, Basketball Australia and the Australian Sports Commission are powering women in basketball. We are amplifying the voices, skills and spirit of women in the game. From the backboards to the boardrooms, we're breaking barriers, shattering stereotypes and empowering the next generation of female athletes and leaders. Get involved and together we can create a future where every girl's hoop dreams are within reach.
It's a game of strategy, nerve and unpredictability.
Todd Woodbridge pushes Australia's most addictive game show. Over the Edge.
One counter for a shot at $40,000.
The more you risk,
2 counters, $20,000. I'll also throw in a holiday.
the more you win.
If you don't get that jackpot, you'll leave here with nothing.
New Tipping Point Australia starts Monday, Jan 29 on 9.
Ford dealers have backed sport in communities for nearly 100 years. And now, from the Boomers and Opals to Aussie Hoops, your local Ford dealer is proud to support basketball. Because all dreams start somewhere.
When I was like, I want to do this as a career, you know, I knew I would give my blood, sweat and tears, and I'm very driven. So I'm like, you're not surprised I got here, but also I worked hard, so, and believed in myself. But most of all, just like the friendships I've built along the way, that's something that's, to be honest, that almost takes over everything else. I think when people talk about your 250th, initially I'm like, I play 249 games and I play 251, like, what's a big deal? And it's almost like I genuinely thought back to our interview that we did. It was like, you got to sit back and smell the roses. And I was like, you know, there was a time in my early 20s where I thought I was never going to play basketball again because surgeons were telling me, you know, this and that with my knee. And then you think about all the highs and lows and the good times and the bad times, and the fact I've been able to play at this level for so long. Like, it is a real big achievement. But to be honest, if I get a win tonight with my team, that's all I care about.
Hi, I'm Loz. I'm Izzy, and we're here with Leo and Anna with the Ford Aussie Hoops.
Who's your best shooter on the team?
This girl right here. It's probably Loz. Do you guys have a favourite spot on the court that you like to shoot from?
Right here.
Right in front? I like it.
Do you have any tips for shooting?
So make sure your feet are always facing the rim wherever you shoot it from, and then snap that wrist and hold your follow through. Do you want to have a go? Yeah, nice. Nice. Thanks for hanging out today, guys. Good job. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Leo.
Good job.
Good job, Anna.
The importance of period poverty can't be underplayed.
The fact we get to raise awareness for it and support women in need. We get to supply people with the period products and sanitary items that they need, and sometimes go without.
Share the Dignity do a great job of trying to make that accessible for all females.
To be able to raise awareness for something that affects so many women in Australia, I think it's just so fitting for our league.
Fighting period poverty is sponsored by Foodie.
You can help by purchasing your bloody good socks today.
For centuries, supernatural creatures have lived among us.
There are vampires, werewolves, doppelgangers, witches.
And even hybrids. Go!
There are friends.
Our enemies.
The ones we love.
And the ones we've lost. A lot of blood, a lot of partying.
But if you're gonna die, it might as well be epic.
Sink your teeth into the drama.
Drink.
The Vampire Diaries.
Here we go.
Stream every episode on 9 now.
You overheated the generator.
That's nightgown. Oh, wait.
Well, that smile might make all the girls at the church social swoon, but it's not gonna work on me.
Well, I'm not gonna be polite. I'm not gonna show you where a fuse box is. Night.
This Manhattan Doctor's life is going south. Stream all episodes of Heart of Dixie on 9 now.
I've got a staff meeting to go to, and so do you, you elitist Harvard fascist, missed the dean's list 2 semesters in a row, Yankee jackass.
Stream The West Wing.
Feel better getting that off your chest there, CJ?
I'm a whole new woman.
On 9 now.
Women are powering forward and changing the game on and off the court. Together, Basketball Australia and the Australian Sports Commission are powering women in basketball. We are amplifying the voices, skills and spirit of women in the game. From the backboards to the boardrooms, we're breaking barriers, shattering stereotypes and empowering the next generation of female athletes and leaders. Get involved and together we can create a future where every girl's hoop dreams are within reach.
She's had the 6 attempts so far. She's drawn 4 fouls, but then that's impacted the Boomers because the 2 players who have guarded her within that first half have been Keely Froling and Sarah Blitzarves, both of which have incurred 2 fouls apiece.
And she's one of 2 opals out there on the floor tonight, heading to Brazil next month for the Olympic qualifying tournament. You can see the full team on your screen now. So her and Sarah Blitzarves currently out there. But we'll tell you what, it's a great team. We congratulate all players selected, but there's already been a bit of a spanner in the works. We saw Isabel Borlase last night go down with what appears to be an ankle injury. We await the scan results and hope it's nothing serious. But what do you make of the team, Mark, and what do you think comes as a result of that?
We've got a balance of everything that you need positionally there with that particular roster, but the challenge is going to be if you have to replace an Isabel Borlase, and hopefully that's not the case for her personally, but if that is the case and you look back at the original selections, you've got some decisions to make, because to replace somebody like for like, you have a Talbot, a Kunek and a Wallace who are all in that sort of 2-3 sort of formation, but all coming off injuries. So do you gamble, like how close are either of those 3 to actually playing? Or do you go Annalie Maley, who's averaging the 14 points, the 13 rebounds and 3 assists for the Perth Lynx, who can plug and play? I just think when you come into a roster, you've got to have something that you do at an elite level, and at least in Maley's case, it's rebounding at the very least, as well as all of the other things that she can offer you.
So we hope that's not the case for Isabel Borlase. She's playing some great basketball, and her team got a great win last night over the Townsville Fire away from home. But now we've got all eyes on Southside and Melbourne. We're in for a big second half, Mark. What do you think happens? What do you think each team can work on from here?
Well, I think there's a lot. I think for the Melbourne Boomers, they're getting beaten with their interior play, and it's incurring a whole lot of fouls as well. So they've got to try and push the likes of Lauren Jackson, Mercedes Russell, push those catches from the post deeper, give them a gap and challenge them to shoot over the top of a hand, because anything that's a longer rebound is going to give you the opportunity to run if you do a good job of boxing out. For the Flyers, it's the opposite. Keep going to the well, pump it inside, get on the free throw line. You're probably just looking at secondary actions with cutters like this.
And Cole gets the first points for the second half for Southside.
It couldn't have happened any more perfect. Drive to basket, there's your basket threat. It's cutting actions or driving closeouts that's going to give you the next line of decisions.
Here's Hillman now looking to respond for the Boomers, and she does so successfully. 18 points now for Naz Hillman.
That's the other thing that the Boomers can look at, especially when it's within space, is start to go at the likes of Mercedes Russell and Lauren Jackson. Make them have to defend. You've got Russell, who's already in foul trouble as it is. Put them under the pump to have to defend and potentially incur fouls of their own.
Bit of a collision there between Jackson and Canada. Jackson just holding the lower leg. Hopefully that's nothing too serious. Canada's up. She's okay. We'll hold our breath as Jackson's able to hobble off. So we'll take a look back at the foul here. See there, Canada just sort of got caught on Jackson's legs. The foul is on Jackson. She's going to come to the bench and have that assessed. You know, she's had a lot of trouble with her knees over her career, but hopefully this is just a knock and she can come straight back on after a bit of a break out there.
And the foul's incurred off the back of that screening exchange. And one of the things that players from that era, Lauren Jackson, I quote, Mariana Tolo does a terrific job of it as well, pivoting in the direction that their teammate's going. So they're almost screening with their back. She didn't quite get around all the way there, and that's why you saw the collision with the knee.
And the other reason why she's off is she's got 4 fouls to her name now, so she'll have to watch herself there. Lauren Jackson, that basket won't count there from Hillman. Oh, sorry, 3 fouls to Jackson, 4 fouls on her. She's still okay for the time being. Let's hope that lower leg's okay with her as well. Russell into Cole. And now Ernst, who's come on quickly in this third period. Into Mitchell, dumps it back to Ernst, who just lost it in transition, and Conti says, thank you very much, I'll put that one in.
Beautiful reading of the play off the ball, and she just shoots the gap as a defender, Monique Conti, exceptionally well.
Beck Cole now. Ernst wants to redeem herself, and she does. That's her spot, Carly Ernst.
You can't leave Carly Ernst open. I've used the phrasing before on a broadcast. At the moment she gets over halfway, she's open.
Here the Flyers go again. It's in the hands of Rochi now. And turns it straight over to Hillman. And now Conti, can she get back-to-back buckets for the Boomers? Team down by 6. Canada. Look a bit stagnant at the moment, the Boomers. Froling gets moving and gets it to Conti. Into Canada. Shot clock ticks down to 3. Canada lets it fly. And Ernst is able to collect the easy rebound.
And that's what we discussed in the first half, about the stagnation or out of sync Melbourne Boomers possessions. Against a team like the Southside Flyers, you've got to make every post a winner.
Ernst again! Making it rain at the boombox.
And she will. She's an exceptional three-point shooter. You've got to turn Carly Ernst into a driver as much as possible from that range. So you either don't leave her, or when she catches it, you've got to be basically in her jersey, encourage her to dribble the basketball.
Equal game-high lead for the Southside Flyers. Let's see if they can put it beyond the 9-point buffer. Rochi will head to the free throw line. Good strong drive by Maddie Rochi.
Takes a straight line and plays through not only the contact from Canada, but that cheeky little poke at the ball that Keely Froling had to try and blow up the dribble penetration.
So a timeout called at the boombox. It's the Flyers 53 leading the Boomers 44. And this timeout is brought to you by the WNBL app. We don't want you to miss a minute of the action. So for live scores, highlights, all your player and team info and more, download the free WNBL app today. While you're there, check out the brand new Match Center as well. It's looking very good on the app. It's where you can see everything you need to see, especially in a topsy-turvy game like this. The Flyers have done well to lead for the majority of the game, actually, in fact, all the game. But you just feel the Boomers, they have their moments at the moment, Mark, but they just can't really do much with them.
Yeah, and they've got to make every post a winner. So being able to elevate their defensive pressure, which it looks like they've done to start this third quarter, that turned into offense for them back the other way. But they can't have stagnated possessions at the other end. So it's really important that they're able to keep a flow of scoring within the half court. But the moment that you let up, or you lose concentration, or you forget the individual scout of who you're guarding, a team as talented as the Flyers make you pay. So back-to-back three-point shots from Carly Ernst, that's pivotal. There's nothing that's more momentum building than a massive three-point shot, and Carly just knocked 2 of them.
We're going to have Maddie Rochi at the free throw line on the other side of this timeout. She's actually yet to score this game. She's 0 from 6 from the field. She's been pretty lively in other areas of the game, though. 5 assists and 2 rebounds. She does deserve a bucket to her name for sure.
And I mentioned the matchup between her and Conti does a terrific job of guarding Maddie Rochi, and we know how talented she can be. You know, you mentioned the rebounds and assists that she's been able to have, in essence, to overcome the lack of points so far in this one. But Conti herself has got 7 points on the board. She's got the 5 rebounds and 3 assists to her name, so arguably winning that matchup.
It's the Flyers who are winning the game. They're out to a game-high 10-point lead off the back of that one Rochi made free throw. Conti dumps it into Blitzarves. Spinning around, good mate Beck Cole, and can't get it to drop. Mitchell now. Got off to a good start in this game, had the 8 points. Russell now. Been a bit quiet with those 2 fouls, but gets to work now on Froling. Has to have an option come towards her. Gets Rochi with 3 seconds on the shot clock to work with. Cole lets it loose. And Russell, a great offensive rebound and gets the foul as well. Southside just never give up on the offensive end, and they've proven that today.
And that really hurts if you're the Melbourne Boomers. I thought they were exceptional defensively and being able to basically stagnate the Flyers. So the same thing that the Flyers had been doing to them at the other end of the floor. You had Mercedes Russell on the 3-point line trying to beat a player off the dribble, and everything just stopped. The trouble was, you've got to continue to play defense till you secure the basketball. So as soon as that ball was in flight and in the air, I believe it was Keely Froling that lost sight of the taller Mercedes Russell. Didn't go and make contact on the box out, and then the taller Russell gets the rebound.
She makes one of her 2 free throws. Crowd comes to a bit of a hush in the inaugural Pride game at the Boombox. A lot of activations out there at Parkville. Conti got fouled on the 3. I don't think she was shooting, so I think it'll be a sideline ball. I think it might have been Mitchell stepping on Froling or the like. So there certainly wasn't any contact with Conti on that shot. So here's Sarah Blitzars now, heading to Brazil next month, the Olympic qualifying tournament for the Opals. And Southside force another stop.
A moving screen being called on Naz Hillman. So tried to get in the road of the pursuing defender, Beck Cole, as she chased Sarah Blitzarves out to the 3-point line.
So the Flyers 55, leading the Boomers 44. They've played a fantastic team-oriented game so far. Rochi still yet to score a field goal, but it doesn't matter. Her team's still in the lead, but the Boomers up the other end. What can they do with it? Froling in the corner. Let's fly. And there's a better shot from Keely Froling. Knocks it down.
Beautiful decision. So you had the decision there by Blitzarves to go to the basket on the smaller defender and post up.
Oh, and that's even better from Leilani Mitchell at the other end. They just keep finding ways to respond just when you think Melbourne release the shackles. Southside comes in with a 3, or in Carly Ernst's case, back-to-back 3s, and just shuts down any momentum, any sort of run.
Well, you don't get a chance to rest, and you've got to have an urgency not only in your pursuit of people who are dangerous scorers, but the alertness more so to who are you going to be chasing out to that distance, or who can you give a bit more of a cushion if they're a driving player.
Oh, and Conti cops some heavy contact on the way in. Bit slow to get up, but a good strong drive from Monique Conti. I mentioned she's been arguably winning the matchup between her and Rochi. 7 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals as well. So stuffing the stat sheet. You can see Mitchell there just slapping her accidentally sort of around the head region. But Conti's able to get to the line and attempt her 2 free throws.
And one thing I like about Monique Conti, or athletes that go to pursue, drive to the basket and a readiness to play through contact and try to score, I think far too much athletes today will try to gamify, the way they play for the referees to wear any brush contact and commando roll on the floor. Just go up strong and try to make the basket. I think there's something to trying to get M1s and playing real basketball.
The referees, we've mentioned early on, just letting the 2 teams play. It's been a really good standard today. As Dickey tries to get around Hillman, stepping, Hillman winning out. Ernst grabbing the rebound.
Yeah, I think you're right, and it's a more honourable way to play the game, and basketball's such a pure sport. Let's keep it pure.
Rochi dumps it into Russell, backs off Froling. And it ends up with Jordan Canada. 8 points for her so far this game. Hillman, Blitzarves, Dickey! met her with ferocity. And it gets up the other end to Mitchell. Into Ernst, thought about the long triple. It gets taken out of her hands, and Conti has Hillman in Canada ahead of her. Tries to dump it to Hillman, it came off the foot. And a manic bit of play there from both teams.
It was, but a great defensive adjustment by Keely Froling. So now having the urgency to chase Carly Ernst out on the three-point line forces Carly to become that dribbler that I alluded to earlier, you know, what you've got to force her to do. And that allows, I think it was Monique Conti, to come and get a hand in and poke the ball loose, created a fast break opportunity for the Boomers.
Some subs on the floor for both teams. Brown and Potch entering the game for Southside, and Reed replace Blitzars for Melbourne.
And one thing to watch for, now there's a bigger focus to try and get the ball inside. See, Potch goes across to help Lou Brown against Nars Hillman. What is Potch's player doing? That's going to be the critical thing for this next quarter and 3 minutes. Is she standing on the three-point line having a picnic? And that allows Nadia Potch to go and compete and essentially double-team Nars Hillman without any penalty? Or does she get involved in the action, either to get herself open or get a teammate open and penalise Potch for going to help like that?
Did you just say have a picnic?
I think I might have. It's Sunday.
It's Sunday. We're using all the Sunday terms in our broadcast today. Sorry for the folks at home that have to endure this. Oh no, Southside 58, leading the Boomers 47. It's been a clinical performance from Southside so far. They need to win. Keep in touch with that top two, especially with Townsville dropping that game against Adelaide last night. Dickey spinning, shooting. Russell with the rebound and Russell with the bucket.
So just lost sight of Mercedes Russell. So when the ball is in flight, that's the most, or when it gets shot, the rise up of the play with the shooting action, that's your cue to go and box out your matchup. And any time that you lose that alertness, especially against a team with the size of the Flyers, they don't get any shorter. If they're hanging around the hoop, they're going to come up with the ball.
Good offensive rebound. It's been the theme of the game, really, for Southside. I mentioned offensive rebounds a lot. I feel they've just been hunting it at their end of the floor, and the defensive end for their credit as well.
You were spot on. They've got 12 offensive rebounds to the Melbourne Boomers 3. And traditionally, if we look at the sample size of what we've seen in double-digit games in the Cygnett WNBL season, offensive rebounding has been a trademark of the best play that the Boomers have been able to put on the floor this season.
Chance for the Boomers here, though. The Flyers now over the limit for this period, so they've got 3 minutes to try and get to the free throw line as much as they can. Try and fight back this deficit. It's getting larger and larger in the inaugural Pride game at the Boombox. Hillman attacking Brown. There's no other way to put it. At the bottom of the floor now with ball in hand, trying to get a pass out. It somehow ends up with Rochi. Dickey. Travel call.
This next 2.5 minutes is critical, and I know that goes without saying, given the third quarter is often what people refer to in sport as the premiership quarter. We've got a 12-point deficit for the Boomers, but you look at this lineup on the floor for the Southside Flyers, you've got some size, you've got some hustle in terms of rebounding ability, but not a lot of scoring and not a lot of ball handling. So big opportunity for the Boomers. If they can crank up the dial on the defensive pressure side of things, you can pick up a stack of points in transition. Or if you execute well enough, you can put a dent in this margin.
Good pass from McKay to Hillman, just couldn't complete the basket. And now Rochi just looks for some options up the other end. 60 plays 48. A 12-point lead for the away team. And they're going to find themselves as the away team for a few of their next games. Southside, Poch lands it. Vintage Nadia Poch. And Rochi responds on the other end. Good settler. So now both teams playing with a bit of pace to end this third period. Jasmine Dickey pulls up. Can't knock it down. Reed gives it to Canada.
Here's their chance to run.
Instead gives it to Amy Rochi. Gets it from McKay now. Has to stop and prop, then goes inboard and knocks it down. Jordan Canada. Back-to-back buckets now for the Boomers. Southside, 1:17 left to try and put more pressure on Melbourne as we head into the fourth period. Dickey up against Reed, gets it to Brown. Wanted Dickey back, got her. Gave it to Russell. It's in dispute. Russell keeps it, and shot clock violation.
And that's your case in point. With the lineup that's on the floor for the Flyers, not a whole lot of ball handling. So you're putting people in positions who are inevitably going to have to create or have the ball on the perimeter and do something with it. And it's foreign to the majority of that lineup. And that's where you get turnovers or skill errors that are unforced, like that last possession, but it plays in the hands of the Boomers.
Cheryl Chambers recognises that and puts Cole, Mitchell and Jackson back out on the floor. Blitzars has it into McKay, and she'll head to the charity stripe. A chance for her first 2 points for the Melbourne Boomers. Elani Mitchell hitting the deck there hard. But Meg McKay, potentially a big moment for her. She's had a massive 2023, and as you know, Mark, you were part of it, undefeated NBL 1 South and national champion. Finals MVP, championship game MVP in a game where she got 46 points and 15 rebounds up against the North Bears. All-Star 5 member and NBL 1 South MVP. And there's her first points as a Boomer.
And a great human being to boot. But so physically strong. She presents a target for you that's always available at the rim, or it creates time and space for people on the perimeter as well. So she's able to create just by being out on the floor.
Her fourth season, she spent 1 with Townsville, 2 with Bendigo. This is her first with Melbourne. She's an injury replacement player for Penina Davidson, out with a calf injury for at least the next 3 games before the FIBA break. And McKay pulls down a rebound. Into Conti. Clock ticks down below 20 seconds. It's about a 3-second difference between shot clock and game clock. A chance for the Boomers to go in with a bit of momentum, but Conti caught in 2 minds. It allows Beth Cole to put the afterburners on, get it to Potch. She can't make the basket. Another offensive rebound. And the Boomers breathing a big sigh of relief, but they're still down at the end of the third quarter. It's Southside 63, leading Melbourne 54 at 3-quarter time. Another fantastic quarter by the Southside Flyers. A lot of contributors. Lauren Jackson didn't even score in that period. She was our player of the half, but it just shows what strength they have as a team to keep troubling this Melbourne Boomers lineup on their home floor, Mark.
Yeah, and it's their game to lose. I think that they've got the ascendancy and they have an opportunity to steer this little bit of momentum that the Boomers have been able to create for themselves late in the quarter back in their own favour. If they can keep being intentful in the half court, execute, pump the ball inside, and then the advantages that they'll create will be secondary actions off the back of that post touch, you'd probably think.
It's amazing. Melbourne shooting at 50% from the field and still not leading in this game. That's because the Flyers are up to the task with 45. But the rebounds one is what sticks out, Mark. We mentioned earlier on in the third period, 12 offensive rebounds to Southside to just 3 for the Melbourne Boomers. It's a very surprising statistic considering the calibre of rebounders that Melbourne has. And one of those rebounders is their top scorer, Nars Hillman, with 18 points. Jackson still leading the way for Southside with 16. And as you can see, Conti's their top rebounder today, which probably says all that needs to be said about their rebounding stats and their woes at the moment.
Absolutely, and they're not out of it, the Boomers. If they continue to play that type of defense that we saw in patches in that third quarter and make up the deficit with their running game back the other way, that's going to be important, as well as the second chance points. But, I mean, credit to the Flyers so far. They've got the 12 offensive rebounds, as you mentioned. The margin is 9 points. The Flyers have got 11 second chance points, which have come off the back of those 12 offensive rebounds. They've got the 32 points in the paint, so anything that you rebound in the painted area gives you essentially a layup to put back in. They've been able to hold the Melbourne Boomers to just the 3 offensive rebounds so far. And the other thing that it assists you with, when we talk about the possession play for the Flyers, they've attempted 53 shot attempts to the Melbourne Boomers 42. So, I mean, there's more chances to score, right? More shot attempts. It's very layman, but you can create extra shot opportunities just by working hard at rebounding the basketball offensively.
It's been great scouting work by the Flyers as well. Melbourne are the #1 team in the league for rebounds, averaging 40.4 a game. So they've gone to work. Blitz serves, can't get them off to that perfect start. But they'll have another go here from the baseline in the inaugural Pride game. A sold-out boombox, over 3,000 people in the house. People have been able to design their own Pride badge throughout the day. There's Pride scrunchies out on the floor, Pride progress flags flying around the stadium. It's been a really great vibe, and we hope this continues for a long, long time. And hopefully even a league-wide initiative. Who knows? Reed travelling there.
I mean, right idea there by Tara Reid. Put the ball to the floor anytime that you have Jackson or Mercedes Russell closing you out. If they're chasing you out to the perimeter to defend you, that's your world if you're that perimeter type. So it's a great opportunity to drive right by them.
Rochi dumps it into Jackson, who wants Rochi back. Russell, Rochi, the #1 assist per game team, doing the work on the floor. Jackson banks it in. Her first points of the second half. In her 200th WNBL game. Leads out to 11. Crowd comes to a bit of a hush. Conti with it. Blitzarves, spinning around Russell, getting it out to Reed. Has Cole to contend with, has to go to work. The shot clock's ticking down, and Reed says, don't worry about it, I bet it.
That's a really tough layup to make on your right hand going to your left. Through contact, no less.
Oh, Russell all on her own, somehow misses the shot. And again, Melbourne breathed that sigh of relief. Reed, Blitzarves, 3-ball, is good!
Big shot, massive shot by Blitzarves.
That is exactly the start that the Boomers would have wanted in this fourth period. They cut the deficit down to 6. What can Beck Cole, the captain, do with it? Gets it to Mitchell. Into Maddie Rochi. Oh, and the hands from Conti were called a foul. Let's take a look at it on the replay.
Probably unlucky, but a really good job off the ball by Meg McKay to come and lend a little bit of hedge help to slow up Maddie Rochi, but then go back to Jackson. So obviously an alertness for the offensive rebounding that's controlled the game for the Flyers, making that a priority to try and keep your Jacksons, your Russells off the pursuit of the offensive glass. Unfortunately for Conti, incurring the foul on that particular occasion though.
Her third personal, Monique Conti.
We still have ourselves a ball game though.
Absolutely. 7 points the margin. Amy Rochi goes in and gets herself another basket. Responding to her sister-in-law's free throw at the opposite end. Russell banks it in.
That's a strong move by Russell.
Rising above the defense, Mercedes Russell. Reed now. Amy Rochi tries to get past Beck Cole. She was fouled.
If I'm Coach Chris Lucas, I'm probably considering a return to the game for Naz Hillman. We've got 7.5 minutes to go. She's been really important.
So we see Meg McKay exiting the game, and there it is, Naz Hillman on the floor. And she gets it immediately from Amy Rochi. He gets it into Blitzarves, asks for some movement. Rochi lets it fly, and it just trickles out. And Lani Mitchell now trying to move it up the opposite end. Puts the footwork on. Looking for Lauren Jackson and gets her above the undersized Amy Rochi, and that's a beautiful use of the mismatch for Lauren Jackson.
She's so balanced shooting on that turn. We've seen that, gosh, in green and gold. We've seen that in the green and gold of Australia, but also the the bottle green and gold of the Seattle Storm for many years as well. That turnaround baseline jumper, it's been a figure of the way that she's played for a long time.
So timeout, 70 plays 61. And this timeout is brought to you by your local Ford dealer, proudly supporting community basketball in Australia. Lauren Jackson getting the Flyers back out to a 9-point lead. It was the Boomers who got off to a bit of a convincing start. A couple of quick shots from Reed and Blitzars, but the Flyers have continued to do what they've done all game, is they've just stemmed the flow and haven't given them an inch. No opportunities to try and get back into this one.
No, I think you're absolutely right, and they've got finishes all over the floor. So for the Flyers, you've got to continue to just keep going to the well and try to make sure that your shot selection is in the ballpark of what everybody's predicting to happen, because predictable shots you can go and then pursue as offensive rebounds, and that's obviously been a separator for these two teams, and you've got the tall timber to trouble the Boomers. For the Boomers, you've got to try and be a little bit more disruptive so you don't get an opportunity to lose urgency or alertness for the weapons that the Flyers have. You've got to be there and be in their grill and try to defend the moment that they catch the basketball, but then boxing out and coming up with possession. So the flight time of the shot being in the air is when you've got to try and go and impede the run at the ball of the likes of Russell and Jackson, and all over the court they've got people who can rebound the basketball, so I think it's everybody's job.
It's a bit of YMCA playing in the stadium, but it doesn't produce the good vibes they need on the offensive end. Luckily, it last came off Jackson, so they can have another go at it from the baseline. Melbourne Boomers coming off a massive win against Townsville last Saturday night, and that is not a good pass. Uncharacteristic from Jordan Canada. Beck Cole gets rejected by Amy Rochi. It allows Tara Reid to go up the opposite end. Rochi gets it back into Hillman. Reid lets launch and drains the three.
They needed that. That's a massive shot by Tara Reid, and more indicative of the way that we've seen her play throughout this Cygnett WNBL season. So there we talk about any time that somebody goes to help on those early post touches, it gives someone else an opportunity to be a threat.
6 points the margin now. Mitchell into Jackson. The two leading scorers. Cole can't get it to drop.
But if you're the Boomers, you've got to continue this tempo, both vertically in transition, but then side to side, horizontally when you're in the half court.
And Hillman makes it look easy from just outside the charity stripe, and it's back within 4 points. Another timeout on the floor call. Naz Hillman has been massive for the Melbourne Boomers this game.
But see, that comes off the back of a number of trips where they've had to fly up and down. So what the Flyers have to their advantage in the size of Jackson and Russell, you can put them under the pump, forcing them to have to run up and down the floor in transition, but then left to right, and that's where you get the separation for Hillman to shoot that jumper at the free throw line.
So 70 plays 66, 6 minutes left in the fourth period. And this timeout is brought to you by some really exciting news. Of course, earlier this season it was announced that for the first time ever, all WNBL games will be shown on the WNBA League Pass. So for our viewers outside of Australia and New Zealand, make sure you've downloaded the WNBA app for games and WNBL content. A lot of interest as well for a player like Jordan Canada. There's free agency coming up soon, and she's got a bit of a decision to make about whether she stays with her current team, the LA Sparks, or perhaps she can move around a bit. But all that matters right now to her is getting her team the win. It's back within a 4-point margin. A lot to play for, especially for a team like Southside. If they can hold on, that's big, because their next 3 games, they've got Sydney, Townsville and Perth, all within all of those 3 games. Are 3 games in 7 days, and they're all on the road. So massive, massive stakes here today.
And a great setup, because these are all teams fighting for playoffs, right? So you play against Boomers who are likely to make it. That's great preparation in terms of the sharpness of your team.
Dickey looking for an option. It's ragged defense by Melbourne out of this timeout. Canada not giving Rochi an inch, and it gets cut off. Reid going up the opposite end. Canada pops it in, and they're back within 2.
We can hear the boombox cranking it up. 2-point ball game, and off the back of defense, turning defense into offense.
A 7-0 run for the Melbourne Boomers. Canada commits the foul. Over 3,000 fans in the house, getting up and about.
Probably unlucky there. A crafty move by Maddie Rocci to hook the arm of Jordan Canada. And a lot of players over the years have done a really good job of making it look like you're fouling them when really they're hooking your arm.
Russell now. They need this basket, Southside. They'll head to the charity stripe. Mercedes Russell, all poise in clutch moments. So Froling just reaching the hand in and committing her 4th personal foul.
She's got to have a little bit of foul discipline because they're a better team with her out there on the floor. But look, not the worst thing to send Mercedes Russell to the free throw line. Instead of what could have been a certain 2 points, now Russell has to earn both individually from the stripe.
And she does so. 72 playing 68. Still just about to tick over the halfway mark of this 4th period, and it is anybody's game. Reed runs into Dickey, and Dickey commits the foul.
Probably a bit unlucky. I thought she was trying to get across. That would be play on in most instances, but to calm down the Melbourne Boomers, a lot of coaches would refer to that as the make-up call, just to settle everybody down and get their minds back on just playing basketball.
The whistle has come into it for this last couple of minutes. It's been very physical out there. This is a very important win for either of these teams. Hillman, Rocci, Canada, 3-ball, it's good!
Big time, Jordan Canada.
It's back within a point at the boombox. They're going wild at Parkville. The Melbourne Boomers have not led for the entire game. The Flyers all of a sudden feeling the pressure. Mitchell into Jackson, spins around, can't make that signature shot, and a chance here for the Boomers to take the lead. It's with Jordan Canada. Tries to find some space, gets it to Reed. Rocci in the corner. Amy Rocci gets the Boomers in the lead for the first time this game.
Now who responds? 4 minutes on the clock. Boomers take the lead. Who has the discipline and the emotional control to...
Oh, Leilani Mitchell!
Well, there's your answer.
Says whatever you can do, I can do better. Comes in with the clutch free for Southside, and they're back in the lead. Froling still out there on those 4 fouls. Gives it to Hillman, spinning around this taller Russell, and Russell blocks her. It manages to get back in the hands of Canada. A great move, couldn't complete it with the basket. And the Flyers breathe a sigh of relief. Mitchell, can she go for back-to-back threes? Gives it to Russell. Here is Leilani Mitchell once again, guarded by Amy Rocci. Russell for the 2, as easy as you like. Very handy basket there for Russell. And a 5-0 run now for Southside. Can Reed break it? Thought about it, had all the right moves. And now Mitchell can extend her team's lead. Just ticked under 3 minutes to go. Dickey gets Rocci in the air and then tries to do the same with Hillman, but passes it to nobody. Great defense there by Nas Hillman, left her with nowhere to go. 77 plays 74.
And I can't understate how great that is from a defensive possession for the Boomers. So Hillman keeping her feet and not biting on any of the fakes or pivots that Dickey was making.
Froling up against Jackson. Canada hits the deck. And Southside get the call. So you can see Canada just losing her feet there. Luckily, she's okay. It looked like a pretty heavy fall. But a chance for the Flyers to respond and extend their lead with 2.5 minutes left. Jackson into Mitchell. Rocci with the heavy hands committed the foul, and Mitchell will head to the line for a couple. We've spoken a lot about, you know, the likes of Lauren Jackson and Mercedes Russell this game, but it can't be understated how big of a performance this is from Leilani Mitchell. Just hit a clutch 3 moments ago. 14 points, 6 rebounds and 4 assists. And you can see how good her playing is in the context of the next 4 games for the Flyers as well.
Well, she's so calm as a game manager and she's such high IQ. When she played for the Adelaide Lightning all of those years ago, they wanted to draw strength from her presence and calmness. They had a hashtag they would use, hashtag be like Lay. And that was their reminder to have emotional control and just be a good decision maker under fire. You see why tonight.
Reed into Amy Rochi, who's done a few nice things for the Boomers in this 4th period. Reed goes in and gets the 3-point play. A big moment from the New Zealand national, Tara Reid.
And strong on her left hand through contact. So I mentioned earlier, playing a little bit of a different role stylistically to what we're used to, but it's having an impact, especially late where the ball continues to find her. She's been able to make some great plays or create good opportunities for her team.
Hillman luckily secures the rebound if you're a Melbourne fan. Canada into Froling. Clock ticks down to under 2 minutes. And a big call there. Foul there. 79 playing 76.
It could impact this game. Every foul that the Flyers can incur on the Boomers, they'll go straight to the free throw line wherever that foul takes place. Maddie Rochi reading the intent to try to get the ball to Jordan Canada, shoots the gap and gets her hands in there first.
Hasn't had the best night from the free throw line. 3 from 7. Now goes 50% at least. Holds her nerve with 1:54 left. And a sub will be made out on the floor. Amy Rochi comes off. Monconti comes on. A good move by Chris Lucas. Just a bit of aggression and ferocity. Not to discount what Amy Rochi's done for this team, to try and get them back in the game. Reed now into Canada. Just loses it momentarily, but the foul was called. And Lauren Jackson was the one who it was called on, so that's her 4th personal foul.
Jordan Canada looking to split the screen. So you had an aggressive pick and roll coverage from Lauren Jackson to jump out and try and get in the road of Jordan Canada. As she lifts up, she leaves a little gap between her and the screener for the faster Canada to split through, and they collected legs on that occasion.
Hillman into Canada. Lets it fly and gets fouled while shooting the 3-ball. That could be massive.
If she can put all 3 of these away, you've got a 1 basket ball game.
And it puts both teams in the bonus now. So free throws for every foul on the floor from this point on, this last minute 36. Jordan Canada, 15 points, 3 rebounds, 8 assists. Puts in the first of her 3 free throws.
It's hard to say, isn't it?
Yeah. Especially when the game's this close. We're on the edge of our seats. Misses the second. Over 3,000 people in the boombox. Sold out for the first time this season at Parkville. Melbourne up against Southside, the 3rd leg of the Michelle Timms Cup, and they're on their seats, literally standing on their seats. 78 plays 81. A 4-point ball game with under 90 seconds to go. Can Southside hold on ahead of a big, big away road trip?
If the Flyers score on this possession, Coach Chris Lucas will call a timeout.
Mitchell, she's been clutch all game. That one misses. This time they can't get the offensive rebound. A very important call from the referee here. And we'll go the way of Southside. Last off, Keely Froling.
It's why it's so important to get into the bodies of these tall, timbered players so they can't get a reach out and touch the basketball.
Jackson into Russell. Oh, Rochi nearly lost it. Canada was right there with her. I reckon that went out of bounds, and Canada knows it. Big defensive play from Jordan Canada. Taken with pick 5 in the WNBA. That's exactly why. Dogged defense, excellent offense. 17 points, 8 assists for her this game. Can she guide her team to a comeback win? There's under a minute left. Can the Flyers hold on? Canada glides in. 1-point ball game, 49.3 seconds left.
What time is it? It's Jordan Canada.
Ding, ding, ding. Here she goes. You can see her there finding a line. Stepping up when it counts. She's taken a few heavy hits in this game as well, Jordan Canada, but it's been Leilani Mitchell really on the opposite end for the Flyers, and Jordan Canada now stepping up for the Boomers. Their next 4 games look like this: Perth, Spirit, Adelaide and Capital. So some very winnable games in there for the Boomers. We know the road ahead that Southside have up against Sydney, Townsville and Perth, all on the road before their FIBA break. This is massive, Mark. What goes on in these timeouts right now?
Oh my goodness. Well, if you're the Flyers, you're going to try and pump the ball inside. So you're going to go to the well, because any foul you're going to get on the free throw line with. So you're going to bait the Boomers to come across and have to help with multiple people or put themselves in a position to foul you, hopefully getting a 3-point play or a layup out of the possession. So you're either going in early here or late and trying to pump that ball inside. For the Boomers, you get an opportunity to try and be a little bit gambly on the inbounds and see if you can disrupt who the basketball goes to break the rhythm of whatever Coach Cheryl Chambers is drawing up, and see what you can achieve on that. Otherwise, you've got to guard, honestly, but just make sure that you box out. You contest and you box out and make sure that they don't get a second possession.
So 49 seconds left, a 1-point ball game. The Flyers led by as much as 15 points. The Boomers got out to just a 2-point lead before Southside bounced back. Lauren Jackson still out there with the 4 fouls. Leilani Mitchell, she's got the 16 points to her name. She's been massive for Southside this game. Can't put the shot in. The ball falls to the Flyers. Another offensive rebound, if you can call it that. It tipped back to them. Mitchell guarded by Conti. Conti had to foul her.
I'm not sure that she did, though. 6 seconds left on the shot clock. All she needed to do was contest, and there would still be time for the Boomers. So this foul that we've incurred here for the Melbourne Boomers has sent the Flyers to the line. Great job by Leilani Mitchell to lean in and draw that contact, because she can put 2 away here and create a situation where the Boomers have to hit a 3 just to tie the game.
17 points, 6 rebounds and 4 assists for Leilani Mitchell. Well ahead of her season average of 7.1 points per game. She has been huge. And a timeout, unsurprisingly, called on the floor. Melbourne now need a 3 to tie it. 83 plays 80, 21.4 seconds left. Both teams in the bonus. Second versus third. Michelle Tim's Cup already wrapped up in the favour of Melbourne. They'd want a clean sweep, but what they want more is a win tonight in the context of the ladder. Townsville dropping a game, Sydney coming into the top 4, Perth dropping out of the top 5. There's so many different equations, Mark. Our heads are spinning just thinking about it. But what do they do right here, right now, these two teams?
Well, if you're the Melbourne Boomers who are on screen, you've got to do your very best to create a 3-point shot. Now, easier said than done. There's probably a case where the Flyers are going to come out, and the best defense to take away 3-point shooting is switching, because it always leaves, even though you leave mismatches, it leaves a person in front of the basketball. So there might be some dummy actions that are, it might be a ghost screen where somebody comes like they're going to set a screen, but then runs out into space, causes some confusion and indecision in the defenders that are looking to switch who they're guarding, and that can be potential catalyst to find you the time and space to get a free look at a 3-point shot.
So here we go, 21.4 seconds left. Boombox booming. Everyone up on their feet. Monique Conti's got it at the sideline. The Boomers need a 3 to tie things up. It's in the right hands of Jordan Canada. Instead goes for the 2, and it's as easy as you like. 1 point ball game. Another timeout called. 15.6 seconds left. A great move by Jordan Canada to get her team back within 1.
And smart to just allow the quick 2 if you're Coach Cheryl Chambers' team. You don't want to foul anybody going for a layup. 2 points is not going to beat you. You've got possession of the basketball. There's going to be an urgency from the Boomers to have to foul you to stop the clock. So you can ice this game or put yourself 3 points in front from the free throw line, knowing that that foul's coming. So whatever you orchestrate here for the Flyers, you've got to get a clean inbound that you can catch to somebody who you can trust to shoot the free throws. Look to them to go to either Mitchell or Jackson. For the Boomers, you get an opportunity here to try to deny catches. You're looking to go and steal the basketball on the flight time of the pass while it's in the air, not when it gets to the person. You've got to try and tip it to your own advantage where you might be able to go and steal a layup out of the play. Or, the clock's not your friend right now. You've got to foul somebody, but if there's a way that you can deny the ball to primary targets who are people who shoot the free throw particularly well and send it towards whoever on the lineup perhaps has the lowest free throw percentage. So if you're the Boomers, you're happy if Maddie Rocci catches the ball, you foul her and send her to the line based upon her free throw shooting for this particular ball game. And you're playing the percentage game here in this particular possession and in this last 15 seconds.
So all to play for in these last 15 seconds of the game. Southside have a 1 point lead. They'll hope to extend it here. And Conti, I think that might be her 5th against Leilani Mitchell. So far she's staying out there, but there you go. She is subbed out of the game. Good effort there by Monique Conti. And you can see Maddie Rocci going for a quick chat to Cheryl Chambers. Not a player you want at the free throw line if you're a Melbourne fan. Leilani Mitchell has gone 5 from 5 from the charity stripe this game. 18 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. And she goes 6 from 6 now. It's a 2 point lead.
Surprising too that particular possession, Coach Cheryl Chambers would have Jasmine Dickey out on the floor, who's not typically known as a great free throw shooter herself, but is an offensive rebounder.
Big miss there from Mitchell, uncharacteristic. The Boomers have got 10 seconds to work with. They need a 3 to win it. Jordan Canada, Sarah Blitzars for the win! It misses, Hillman, back out to Blitzars, can she win it? She can't! And the Southside Flyers escape at the boombox. At full time, Southside 84 get the win over Melbourne, 82. They salvage a win in the final game of the Michelle Timms Cup. They also secure victory in Lauren Jackson's 200th WNBL game, and more importantly, they keep themselves in that nail-biting race for a finals berth. What a game, Mark Alabakov.
Incredible game, and so many twists and roundabouts within it. We saw the arm wrestle that we expected from these two teams, where one got an advantage. The Flyers got themselves up by as many as 11 points, and the Boomers were able to wrestle that back and get the game back onto their terms. But look, the difference for me was really in the possession play. For the Southside Flyers to have the 15 offensive rebounds against an incredible rebounding team that the Melbourne Boomers have been. They had 15 second chance points, get themselves on the free throw line for 27 total attempts. That was 10 more than the Melbourne Boomers, and you have double-digit points for the likes of Jackson and Russell as a result of that. But what a cameo appearance in the clutch stages by Leilani Mitchell.
And that's why she is our player of the game with 19 points, 7 rebounds and 4 assists. Also 6 from 7 crucially from the free throw line as well. She really stood up in those clutch moments like you mentioned, Mark, and had a really fantastic game, well above her season average of 7.1 points per game.
Right, but reliable and just makes good decisions in the context of the game. So we know that she can pass the basketball. She had the 4 assists, but she's an efficient scorer, and she only shoots, as layman as it sounds, shots that she can make, like this. She knows what she's capable of, and every time you give her space to be who she is, she can knock it down. So 55% from the field, 50% from the three-point line, and 85% from the free throw stripe. That's elite numbers.
Leilani Mitchell turning back the clock in this game with the Southside Flyers and guiding her team to a win. $19 points, also featured in the rebound category with 7. Nice Hillman, just 1 rebound off that double-double, 8 assists for Jordan Canada. All the big players showed out, and that is what it's all about for Lauren Jackson, with her 2 boys out on their floor in her 200th WNBL game after a big win against the Melbourne Boomers.
A massive win, in the context of the season, to be able to knock off the Boomers on the back of a huge win that they had last round against Townsville. They were full of belief, but so were the Flyers, and they were up to the task today.
Well, that concludes round 12 of the Cygnett WNBL, but round 13, look how many games we've got on that screen, Mark. Melbourne and Perth, it kicks off on Wednesday night. We're back at Parkville. We've then got a Thursday night doubleheader between Bendigo and Canberra, followed by Sydney and Southside. The Flyers then continue their road trip up against Townsville on Saturday before Adelaide hosts Canberra on Sunday. And if you thought it stopped there, you'd be wrong. A Tuesday night doubleheader comes after that before a finale on Wednesday night between Southside and Perth. And you can see just how big that win is for the Flyers. Look how many games Southside have got in that round to try and overcome.
My goodness, exhausting, right? If you're in the Southside Flyers camp, but to get the win tonight was huge for them. They'll go on the road, as you mentioned, for a handful of games, but playing against teams that arguably on paper they should beat and that they'll want to beat to keep themselves in that upper tier of the Cygnett WNBL ladder.
Well, it's all to come in round 13. That concludes round 12, as I mentioned. Mark Elabacco, thanks for your insights as always. And on behalf of Mark, myself and our amazing production team, we hope you have a great night. Signing off from the Boombox, where it was the Flyers 84 getting the job done over the Boomers 82.